Hello, everyone. This is actually an excerpt from our podcast, The Weekly Planet, isn't it, Mason?
Yes.
Where we get right into the Snyder Cut, how it happened, what we can expect from it, what it means for the future of cinema and cuts of films in general. Like I said, it's from our podcast, The Weekly Planet. There's an extended version of that linked below. It comes out every Monday morning if you do want to check it out. And should they leave a like, Mason?
Absolutely, they should leave a like and they should listen to this because we're going to reveal the big secret of the Zack Snyder cut of this movie.
That's right.
Justice League, yep.
We're not going to time code it. You're just going to have to listen to the whole thing.
The whole thing, but you'll come out of this and you'll be like, Weekly Planet exclusive.
Big secrets.
Yeah, big secrets.
That's right. Anyway, we'll be back at the end.
Here we go. 3, 2, 1, play.
So during a Man of Steel watch through last week,
yes,
the Snyder Cut, or as it's now known, Zack Snyder's Justice League, is going to be released in its entirety in 2021. Deborah Snyder said, you can't release something like this theatrically, but you could do it with a streaming service. What's so lovely about this is we get to explore these characters in ways that you're not able to in a shorter theatrical version.
I see.
And at the moment, they're not really sure what form this will take. It could be a mini-series. It could be a 4-hour movie, which they mentioned before Justice League came out that was kind of the length they were currently working with. And they had to whittle it down before, obviously, there was that family tragedy and he stepped aside. / maybe they were going to replace him anyway, I feel as well.
Yeah, right, Yeah.
How do you feel about this, though?
Well, look, first big piece of news, obviously, is that in that initial watch party, guest Henry Cavill was there and he was wearing a blue tank top. Guns out.
Sun's out, guns out?
Guns out. Yeah, absolutely.
He's looking good.
Looking great.
Yeah.
And he seemed in good spirits.
Absolutely he did,
Yes.
yeah. I mean, it was kind of hinted at during the week that this was going to be unveiled, but it also seems that this was more of a recent thing that was going to happen. And it's obvious that this is only in reaction to, well, not only the massive kind of fan outpouring, because apparently it's the most tweeted about Warner Brothers movie, despite it not actually being a movie that has been released.
I could believe that.
Yeah. But aside
I've seen Twitter feeds of just people.
Absolutely.
And they're
anybody from HBO Max, anybody from Warner Brothers, every single tweet is just, that's what they get fired back.
It's like, we'd just like to announce the birth of our CEO's new daughter or whatever. And they're like, release the Snyder Cut.
We'll kill the baby, we'll kill you. Release the Snyder Cut, yeah. So I don't necessarily think it's going to set a precedent. I think this is a scenario that it's entirely likely won't get replicated for other things, which we will talk about, because we're in the middle of a pandemic.
Yes.
It's a new streaming service where they need content, which is very difficult to make at the moment.
Yeah, unless you've got 4 hours of footage stored away somewhere.
This is something that is existing already that is unfinished.
Yeah.
That they can then make into something which will result in massive subscribers.
Yeah.
Potentially. That's the thing. If you love this and you want to see it,
and
you want to see more versions of things like this, you need to pay for it, essentially.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And I guess, like, I think maybe we talked about it a few weeks ago, like the idea that during this pandemic, you know, maybe it would increase the number of animated movies. Voice acting can be done at home. Animation can be done at home, that sort of thing. And I guess this is similar in that they have so much footage and they can add more dialogue remotely. They can finish visual effects remotely.
Exactly.
They've got 4 hours of, again, we don't really know what it is.
No.
My guess would be it's some completed stuff and some green screen stuff.
Yes.
And some animated storyboards.
Some black and white photos from Vero.
That's exactly right, yes.
Yeah. No, I think that's exactly what it is.
They're going to do the thing where they just animate the lips?
Yeah, maybe.
They get Henry Cavill to put his phone up to his mouth and just be like, you won't be, I'll defeat you, Darkseid.
But here's the thing.
Yes.
The cast is returning apparently in voice only. They're not allowing the budget, which is apparently about 20 to 30 million.
Is that confirmed or what's the deal
Yes. So the cast will return in voice for additional ADR. I guess if you had entirely CGI Superman, you could have him saying things from a distance and it wouldn't be that noticeable.
Right. Hey, come catch me. Let's play hide and seek.
But the thing is as well, when you look at this for HBO, it makes more sense for them to release it than Warner Brothers to release this theatrically. Releasing a movie to cinemas 4 years after the original one came out, there's no sense to that. They would not make any money back from it.
That's right, yeah.
It may do well on streaming or DVD sales, potentially, but this is the best version of this. The reason they're making it is because this will probably make money.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the idea,
And I guess, you know, if let's say they give Zack Snyder $30 million to finish this, and then they get several million subscribers, they announce it, they get several million subscribers to HBO Max, at however much it is per month, $10 million per month, then they've covered it essentially.
Immediately, exactly. That's all you need to look at it as. And also, you're not making something from scratch, as mentioned. You're finishing an existing thing. The bones of it are already there.
Yeah.
And the reason you can make this, obviously, is because it can be done on computers in isolation.
I've
you don't
heard of
need to
computers.
get in isolation. Have you heard of that?
Yeah, I've heard of that.
The thing about this is as well, this isn't the original cut. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing, and I'm not trying to criticize people who are
When you say the original cut, what do you mean?
I mean, the version that Zack Snyder originally intended. Because, first of all, the version that he was going to do before Warner Brothers kind of stepped in between Batman v Superman and him filming it, they did make changes to what he wanted to make. Apparently, it was a bit out there. And what he filmed, first of all, he never completed, didn't get the opportunity to. And now he gets to go back and through hindsight and through some redubbing of dialogue and adding extra scenes through CGI and whatnot.
Hey, come catch me.
Yeah, exactly. This is going to be an entirely new vision. It's not what he was making before.
Yeah.
It's not the version that was released in cinemas. And he can look back and go, people didn't really like that character. Oh, but you know what they did like? They wanted to see more of Cyborg. Well, I can add those scenes back in. I can add more elements of that.
People didn't really like this character, but I don't care what they think, so I'm keeping it in.
Well, that's it.
Yeah.
So this is, it is his vision, but it's his vision with the element of hindsight and extending everything and adding extra stuff.
And it's kind of an artifact as well, because it's like, it isn't, okay, well, there are going to be subsequent movies in this universe, and you have to say, make it, you have to add this plot point and this plot point and this plot point and these teasers for the next movie or whatever. This is the be-all, to some degree, unless it's wildly successful. This is the be-all and end-all of this.
Yes.
So technically, he can make it go anywhere he wants. He could change the plotting. He could have everybody die at the end. It honestly doesn't matter.
No, well, that's it. Yeah. This could very well be, and there's been talk of this, that this is a closed universe after this.
Yeah, right.
And look, I don't doubt that at this point. But if the reception to this is very positive, then we could potentially see more of this. And I think even if it's bad, which, by the way, it could be.
Sure.
It's entirely possible. I mean, I'm pretty mixed on Batman v Superman, and I know you're the same. Please send your tweets and comments on that. But there's a lot of people who love this universe, and there's a lot of people who do not.
Yes.
Universally, nobody likes Justice League.
Seems that way, yeah.
I had fun with it. I think it's fine. It's not great. It's whatever to me.
I again, and you can go back and listen to the old episodes if you like, but on balance, I feel like Justice League is the worst DC EU movie. I feel like I think I have bigger issues with something like Batman v Superman regarding characterization or plot or what have you.
Yeah.
But at least it's got, and we'll talk. We're going to cover all the Snyder DC movies in Caravan of Garbage.
Well, that's the thing. We should mention that here because over the next few weeks we're going to be doing Man of Steel, Batman v Superman, the Joss Whedon, Zack Snyder Justice League.
But
surprise!
I have many large issues with characterization and blah 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 in Batman v Superman. But at least there's some memorable action sequences.
Yes.
It looks great, all this sort of stuff. But for me, Justice League is still the worst one because I can't think of a single scene that stands out in it for me. It's bad.
You remember You Should Probably Move, but it's not even in the movie.
Oh, maybe that'll come back.
It's definitely coming back.
Oh my God, I will stand up and cheer.
You should probably move.
But
you should film a reaction to that when it happens.
Yeah.
Could you please do that?
I'll try my best. But yeah, I feel like, again, a movie that I didn't like, Batman v Superman, at least it took some swings and there's some positive stuff in it. But Justice League, it was the fifth movie that had so much, they had a chance to, steer it back into
You're
a direction.
talking in like when you include Wonder Woman and Suicide Squad and whatever else.
I felt it was just not anything. And,
I don't disagree with that.
That's its biggest crime, is that it was just
it's a very middling comic book movie.
And
it cost $300 million.
Dollars, yes.
Yeah.
And so, to me, as regarding the Zack Snyder cut of this, there's the only way is up for me personally.
Yeah.
It might be bad in different ways, but at least it'll be somebody going, I have a definitive look for this and I have a definitive case for what I want.
I have an idea for this universe.
Yeah,
and, that Flash time travel stuff, I'm going to explain some of that potentially.
Yeah, right.
That would be great. Yeah. No, I completely agree. I think, look, and regardless of how you think this kind of came about, of whether you think the fan reaction is unreasonable or not, and I've got some articles and tweets I want to talk about in relation to that.
There's so many articles came out this week.
This is something I genuinely want to see. It's not something that I'm going to kill my grandmother to see. Like, if it never came out, That's fine. I'm
sure.
honestly okay with that. But this is really interesting and very unprecedented. And again, it's just because it happens to line up exactly with certain factors in the world, which is the reason that we're getting this. And I think that's really fascinating.
Yeah. This is just a tweet from someone with the handle Television and Movies.
Okay.
And look, there's no real evidence of this, but here's some potential things that we could see in this.
I love seeing things.
Black Suit Superman could be in this.
Apparently it's in it, yep.
Darkseid could be in this.
Apparently Darkseid's in it.
Green Lantern could be in this.
That there's been reference to that.
Martian Manhunter, so we might get General Swanwick.
I would say almost certainly.
From Man of Steel will be revealed as was suggested that he's Martian Manhunter.
Yes.
Unification of the League. It says more major DC mythology.
What's Unite the Seven?
What's it mean? Is it the Seven Seas? But again, that is there going to be another member of Justice? Maybe it's Martian Manhunter.
Maybe it is.
That would be.
It's an entirely CG character that you could potentially put in. Maybe they filmed some of that already.
Yeah.
We really don't know, and that's kind of really compelling to me.
Yes.
I wonder though, if this is a massive success, how will that parallel to the Robert Pattinson Batman? I think people are smart enough to know, okay, there's Spider-Verse and there's Tom Holland and there's been Tobey Maguire. I don't think it's necessarily a big deal, but I think you're probably going to get those two camps of people like, well, I'm Team Affleck and I'm Team Pattinson or whatever. So there's going to be more screaming about this.
Yeah.
No doubt, yeah. But the other thing about this movie is, and I don't know whether people will like this or even that Snyder will change this in hindsight, is he always said that this was intended to be a lighter movie than Batman v Superman.
Yeah, right.
So I think it's very possible that we will get the more jokier elements from Justice League. I don't think it will be to the extent of.
Yeah, right.
Like the bit where he's like, oh, I do bleed, whatever. You remember that bit or whatever? Yeah, I
I've
don't
been
think
hitting my balls, he says.
Yeah, there'll be less like flash reaction shots to things going on, I'd imagine. But yeah, I think that it's entirely possible that this is lighter than people might like. Or he might go, you know what, people loved what I was doing with Batman v Superman. I'm going to kind of toe that line for this.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
You know what? I feel like, based on some fan reactions from that movie and from Justice League, if he's going to skew it one way or the other, I think it's going to be dark and gritty.
Yeah.
Because again, like
But what are you working with though at the same time?
Yeah, right.
Because you might not be able to an extent.
Just turn the contrast all the way down.
Yeah,
just make it dark.
Yeah, sure, fair enough. Yeah.
Yeah. Like he could release it in black and white, maybe.
Yeah,
that would cover the weird.
The promo images they've released have been in black and white. Yeah.
Look, and again, I feel like some of the louder voices in the world have released the Snyder Cut.
Yeah.
What they want is very much in opposition to Marvel movies.
Yeah, sure.
Whereas Marvel movies are fun and goofy and lighthearted, they want a grim, dark reality.
Which I don't have a problem with. You can make different comic book movies. Jonah Hex.
You can make that if you want. You can make a sequel to that. Yeah.
You can't make a sequel.
What you could do is just release Jonah Hex again and call it Jonah Hex 2, and no one would know because no one ever saw Jonah Hex 1. So you can do that at home. You can put it 2.
Yeah.
We can do it.
You'd be like, Thanos, Josh Brolin, star of Endgame, is Jonah Hex. Yeah. Jonah Hex 2. Is he? Wow. Michael Fassbender's in this? Apparently he is. So
let's sell it to Netflix tomorrow. Yeah, I think they're going to be. I think Zack Snyder's going to be like, if it's going to go either way, he's going to be like, the fans want dark and gritty, so let's keep that tone.
I'm not surprised, but do you think there's ever a chance, or there was ever a chance, that they were going to release what he had unfinished? Because I think a lot of people, not necessarily the general public, but people who wanted to see his version would have been happy with like a work print with unfinished special effects that's filled out with storyboards and animatics. I think to an extent they could have released that. But that being said, it probably wouldn't have got the buzz for the general public. Because you could save money potentially by being like, here's just 4 hours of unfinished stuff.
Yeah. But also I wonder if people would be satisfied with that, because so much of Snyder's stuff, again, the cinematography of these kind of movies it can be spectacular.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's whether you feel it's ham-fisted or not, the idea of Superman in a church and he's wondering if he should reveal himself and save humanity.
Yeah.
Like that involves lighting, and it involves, stained glass, and it involves all this sort of stuff.
Sure.
And it doesn't, whether you think it works or not, it certainly would not work if it's just a storyboard. And it's just stick figure Superman and a cross.
Yeah, sure.
And it's like he's in a church and he has a crisis of confidence.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
Well, that's not what people want
in
this universe. They want to see it in its on film
But between
amazingly
that
color
or
corrected, whatever.
between that or nothing, you'd obviously take that, right?
I guess
you
you
take
would,
the
yeah.
unfinished.
But I
thing,
think it
yeah.
would take a lot of the shine off it.
Yeah, oh, definitely, yeah. Special effects you're talking about, and
Yes.
like have people being in a movie.
People being in a movie, perfect.
Yeah, absolutely. So a lot of people have also mentioned that this is potentially a bad thing, and because we're getting pushes now for things like Josh Trank's Fantastic Four. Obviously, there's calls for people to remake various Star Wars films, which we've talked about.
Yeah.
And David Ayer's Suicide Squad. He though has come out and said that it's simply not my IP. There isn't like a cut that's mine necessarily.
Yeah, right.
But he's also been tweeting about some of the stuff that he has included, including more Joker stuff, other elements. And HBO Max have also been responding to a lot of comments from
Okay,
that.
right,
So
right.
I do wonder that if this does well, maybe they'll just go, okay, what can we do with Suicide Squad?
Yeah, I mean, that's true.
Yeah.
And again, the more cynical among us would suggest that maybe the reason they're going to split up Justice League into 6 episodes or what have you is so that then they get 2 months worth of subscriptions out of HBO Max, because they release one a week
Totally.
for 6 weeks, and then you've got to pay for that second month.
Definitely.
Kind of thing. And maybe they're also like, well, if we could get another couple of months out of people if we release Suicide Squad, but we add other bits and pieces.
We just mesh it together with Bright, whatever.
Maybe-
2 David Ayer movies.
Maybe when you think Captain Boomerang's dead and he takes the money out of his jacket, instead it might be the unicorn that we all expected it was going to be.
Is that what happened in that movie?
There's I don't know, have we done a Caravan of Garbage or anything on Suicide Squad?
We've done a
reviewed it.
commentary?
We did a commentary. Okay, well,
Yeah.
maybe I mentioned this in the commentary, but right at the start of Suicide Squad, you see all the character profiles, and it's like Captain Boomerang loves unicorns, and then when they're setting up all their stuff and they're
Yeah.
getting their equipment together, he puts a unicorn in his jacket, like
he
a
loves
stuffed
unicorns?
unicorn.
That's his
but then
character
later you
arc.
think he's going to be killed because he gets stabbed or he gets shot
Yeah.
or something like in his chest, and he opens up his jacket and he pulls out a wad of cash. And it's like, surely that's the unicorn. Like, that's the foreshadowing of he puts the unicorn in and he's saved by the unicorn. That's the...
Yeah, but that's subverting expectations. That's
it's
what
subverting
Scott said.
expectations, isn't it?
You thought unicorn and they did a thing that you
That's
didn't
true.
know he had probably.
So I saw a very long Twitter thread yesterday.
Sure.
And it was basically a person saying, I don't like, the Zack Snyder, Batman v Superman,
the universe that he's built.
Man of
Yeah,
Steel,
sure.
etc., Justice League.
Okay.
But he's like, basically, I don't get it. And somebody in his Twitter thread has said, you don't need to get it, and we are just beginning, which I think is a good. And then people are like, what do you mean? Somebody says, surely you're just ending. You wanted the Snyder Cut, you're getting the Snyder Cut, that's it, right? And he's like, well, now we are starting with the fight for Zack to finish his entire vision.
Right, okay.
So basically, I guess
That's what I think. I
guess there was going to be a Justice League 2.
Yeah, well, that was originally the idea. I think that this is going to go on for a long time. Even if this is supposed to be a bookend, we're probably never going to hear the end of this,
Yeah.
to be honest.
Right.
Even when he might want to move on from this. Maybe he just wants to kind of cap this off and
Yeah.
move on. He's got a zombie movie coming out soon as well, which I'm really looking forward to because his zombie movie is
Dawn of the Dead was good, yeah,
fantastic.
yeah.
Yeah, I read an article by Joanna Robinson on Vanity Fair, and it's basically about how if you're releasing a movie like this, you are rewarding negative fan behavior.
Right.
And I think there is definitely a lot of that. And I've had a bit of it, but I've never been anti the Snyder Cut or said that it doesn't exist, even though it doesn't really exist.
No, it's not finished.
No, exactly. I mean, it will exist, but there was never a point where they were going to release this in cinemas and Warner Brothers were going to put this money in to make it, to finish it. It wasn't going to
Yeah.
happen. Again, it's this set of circumstances, but there's been a lot of death threats and a lot of insane people tweeting about this, which is, I mean, that's the internet. You can expect it, but I think it's also unfair to go, this is fanboys running amok, because like all fandoms, it seems to be a minority because a lot of people just want to see it and are just tweeting about it.
It has been, like, I saw it this week compared to when Sony were going to take back Spider-Man. People
Yeah.
said, oh, it's the same. It's, people are very passionate about this thing and they would like to see a version that they enjoy or what have you. And, whenever a controversial decision like this happens, you do get people really rising up. But I think it is the sheer, not saying that, every fan of a particular movie is a particular way or whatever, but I would say, based on my own experience, the sheer intensity of DC EU fans is incomparable to anything else.
The only thing that is close is probably Star Wars, but the DC stuff is more intense. I would definitely agree with that.
Like it's a level of intensity I've never seen anywhere else.
I've had a few comments that are like, they're getting the Snyder Cut. What do you think of that? Yeah, that's fine. Like, why would I stop that? Why would I, if you love this, that's good. Like
Yeah.
I'm not going to, why would I crush your dreams on that?
Well,
Be
yeah,
like, you're an idiot.
And I guess it's a whole, and again, it is a whole. From what I've read, it seems to be some people are like, I'm mystified why you like these movies. Some people are like, well, we do like them, just shut up about it.
Yeah.
Like on the one side, you've got people going, you guys are really intense about this sort of thing, and there are other people and people from the other side are like, we just like it, leave us alone.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. And it is the case. It's a lot of clashing over.
Definitely.
And I think it's often a case of like, well, my view is you should like whatever you like.
Yeah.
And
Don't attack people.
don't attack. Well, that's
Yeah.
the thing. But there are also people who are like, there's people who are genuinely mystified why people like these movies or what have you, and there are people who are like, you're an idiot for liking these movies.
Yes.
That is the dividing line,
Totally,
and that is where the line is really.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
You know.
And the thing is, I don't think you should, your entire life and being and what you want in this universe shouldn't revolve around this thing.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
Because the other thing is, and look, I think for some people it's not going to matter and they will die on this hill for the rest of their life. It could be not good.
Yeah.
Like genuinely. And I
Yeah.
don't just mean like, that was okay. It could genuinely be just horrible.
Yeah. Mhm.
And what are you going to do if it is?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think there'll be a lot
Well,
of people in denial about it.
there'll be a
if
lot
it
of
is
people doubling
terrible.
down. Yeah,
And
yeah.
again, that's not me saying that it will be terrible. I'd say
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
probably going to be at least as good as Batman v Superman, whatever you think of that movie.
Yeah, right. Uh-huh.
Yeah.
It will be on par, yeah. Yeah. It's very interesting, isn't it, James?
Yeah. Well, one more tweet I wanted to talk about. This is from Zach Stentz, and he's the screenwriter behind a bunch of stuff, including Thor and X-Men First Class. I said, for everyone worried about the precedent of angry fans getting their way, this is a pretty unique circumstance and confluence of events, a director and cast willing to revisit their work, and a new streaming service hungry for content and buzz.
That's
That's
true.
exactly it, because how many directors would actually want to go back and go, that thing that I sort of got removed from, and also I had a family tragedy and they released a really bad version of it. I want to come back 4 years later to finish it, and there's a new streaming service.
And there's millions there's huge fan base of people.
Exactly, and
demanding
there's
it.
a global pandemic.
Yes.
It's unusual.
That is, to
So,
say the least.
yeah, so,
We're living in unusual times.
Yeah, I don't know. Like Richard Donner would be a good example
Yeah.
for Superman 2, but that was like 3 decades later that they finished that.
And it's also, there's very few movies that have...
There's a lot of movies. What are you talking about?
Oh, yeah, I've made a mistake. I retract my entire argument. But there's very few movies that have so much pre-existing footage made,
Yeah.
and then it was cancelled.
Yeah, exactly,
I'm
yeah.
sure there's a few, and
I know Tim Minchin had an animated movie that got
Yeah, right.
yanked away from him and that he'd finished like 80%.
I guess if
of.
anything, the precedent here will be movie production houses going through their archives and going, "Oh, we left this on the shelf,
Yeah.
because we didn't have the money, or we didn't think it was good enough to release, or what have
Yes.
you, or we had the production was shut down for some reason.
Yeah.
Now we'll bring it out because we already own it and we're gonna rebuild it." But there's so many other things. It's like, well, people might want to see the Edgar Wright version of Ant-Man, but he never
He never filmed
it, so there's nothing
exactly.
they can do.
You could read the script of that potentially.
Yeah, right, uh-huh.
But it's even like Fantastic Four. Does Josh Trank want to finish Fantastic Four? And also, would Disney, who now own the Fantastic Four, put the money into making this thing which everybody hates, and there isn't the call to
yeah,
see?
right, yeah. Because there's never been that fan base.
No, not
of-
really. I mean, I think maybe off the back of this you'll get a bit of a swell, but
Yeah.
not enough for them to even consider that.
And also, you're right, because it's also, in addition to being big fans of Zack Snyder's work, there are people out there who have spent their whole lives being big fans of Batman or Superman.
Yes.
Who've now attached themselves as being big fans of this. There's no, there are plenty of people who have been longtime fans of the Fantastic Four, but what do you get? You get a movie every 10 years.
Yeah, that's right.
Maybe they appear on an animated series for
Yeah.
a couple of episodes or whatever. There's no...
For me, what I want from this at the end of the day, I want to see it in whatever version it turns out to be, whether it be an extended movie or a series, which I think, speaking of that idea that you can get a couple months of subscription out of people, which then means they probably won't cancel. I think that's probably the way it's going to go.
Yeah.
I want to see it, and then I do want to see different versions of these characters and whatever that looks like. I don't need to necessarily see a continuation of this universe. I'm more interested in kind of branching out into different things. But, remains to be seen in what direction that goes.
Something interesting that Dan Olsen, who is Folding Ideas on YouTube and Twitter, pointed out, because he did a video on whether or not the Snyder Cut exists, and he came to the conclusion, well, it probably exists at some hard drives or some film canisters somewhere.
Which is
but it's
what
probably
Zack
not finished,
Snyder said
which is what
that it is,
exactly it
yeah.
is. So he hit the nail on the head, and I think he even said, well, they'll probably, if anything, they'll release it on a streaming service. So
Yeah.
he pretty much, people should watch that video because he pretty much
Yeah.
nailed it. But he pointed out that if it is to be released in like half-hour chunks, how are they going to do that? Is Zack Snyder going to have to re-edit it so each episode is like a TV episode?
They do like they did with Quibi, where they took the movie The Most Dangerous Game and just cut it up into 9-minute chunks.
Yeah,
I
right.
guess.
Yeah. Is it just going to be like, is it going to end in the middle of sentences?
Yeah,
what's it going to happen? You know,
because I think
you would think that if you want a satisfying viewing experience,
Yeah.
because if it's released 1 week at a time, then
that would either seriously break the flow,
Yeah.
or you'd have to
Wait.
artificially kind of twist it into a natural conclusion
every
or
episode, yeah.
attempt to every time. And I think I'd rather it just stop abruptly
Right,
and then
yeah.
it just starts again, because then at the end you can watch it as the whole thing.
Yeah, right.
I'd rather that than if you do watch it as a chunk, then it kind of ebbs and flows in terms of these artificial stop and start points.
Right, uh-huh.
I think, yeah. But that's interesting.
Or maybe it'd be like, Arrested Development, where, the season where they did each character individually.
I hate that season.
Well, maybe they could, who knows what they're doing in the editing bay. He
Yeah.
might go, okay, here's all the Batman scenes. We'll see Batman week 1,
Yep.
Wonder Woman week 2, etc.
That's not a
And then
terrible
put it
idea.
together,
That's
in
interesting, yeah.
episode 6,
Because
5 and 6, they put it all together and they have the big finale.
We know there's a lot of Flash stuff that was altered where the Flash's girlfriend shows up. That was all cast and everything like that. We know there's a bunch of Cyborg stuff where we see him playing football and
Yep.
he's in a weird virtual reality hologram space and things like that.
yeah,
Because
yeah.
Cyborg, and I feel really bad for Ray Fisher because he is a good actor, but
Yeah.
what is he even doing in that Justice League movie? Nothing.
I can't remember.
Like they opened an email with him in it.
Then there's a scene where he's on the
and then-
street and he's wearing a hoodie and he's
yeah,
sad.
and that's kind of he's in a window, and then at the end he's trying to open a box or something.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
it's
And he's like, I wish Superman were here to open this box. And Superman's like, well, I am here. So everything's fine.
Yeah. Like Ray Fisher was supposed to get his own movie, and he probably would have gone on to much bigger things if he had had
Yeah.
any play in that movie. Is he the one digging the grave at one point?
At one point, he does help dig a grave. Tim and Flash digging
Dig
some
up a grave, sorry.
They're digging up a grave, but you would think that Flash could do that very quickly.
But they talk about that. They're like, well, we want to do it in real time because it's disrespectful. No, there's a clock running on
Yeah,
this.
the world is going to end. Maybe the universe is going to end.
Yeah. Anyways, I guess we'll see.
Do you think, okay, random speculation, rampant speculation time, do you think this movie will end similarly to theatrical Justice League in the sense that all the heroes will be kind of hapless and then Superman comes back and he handily defeats Steppenwolf straight away?
I don't think so.
You think it'll be different?
Maybe I think he's definitely going to be a factor in them defeating Darkseid. I think they're
in
going
this,
to I think Steppenwolf will be in it, but I think it'll be mostly
How
Darkseid
about
focused.
this? Do you think Zack Snyder, because the rumor was always going to be there was going to be 2 Justice
Yes.
League movies, one was going to end on a cliffhanger.
Yep.
What if he ends this on a cliffhanger?
And then they have to.
Then they have to do another one. Like
That'd be bold.
They defeat Steppenwolf or whatever,
Yep.
and then Darkseid shows up, beats them all, and then there's the cliffhanger, and maybe it becomes the Nightmare universe.
Yeah.
We saw in Batman v Superman. And then what are you going to do, fans?
Man, that would
Then
be
you-
an absolute power play.
right.
If he
I
did
think.
that, yeah.
You know what? I'm saying it. I reckon it might be.
Yeah, you know what? And it's entirely possible that it's not even that he does that out of spite. That HBO.
I'm saying he's doing it out of spite.
I don't think they'd let him do that if they didn't want to maybe
Yeah,
continue
right.
it.
Uh-huh.
But I think that they're seeing how it's being put together. They're liking what he's doing. They want him to do more because they think it will be financially beneficial.
Yeah.
Then maybe they will allow him to do it that way.
Yeah,
I don't
uh-huh.
think he can sneak that out there.
No, it would be tricky. Wouldn't it?
It'd have to run it past people.
Yeah,
You know,
uh-huh.
I know it's going to be his vision, but there are restraints on this, like
Right.
there are every movie.
But I mean, maybe at this point, because and also like a lot of people out there have been saying, well, they didn't let him release his full vision or what have you. But maybe they're at this point they've seen the power of the
Yeah.
social media machine. For 3 years, this has been
Yes.
every comment on every post has been released the Snyder Cut. So maybe at this point they're like, we should monetize this.
Yes.
We should.
It's also entirely possible that the general audience response and numbers to this are not there.
Yeah, that's true, yeah.
There's a
Yeah,
big
yeah.
difference, and we've seen that in the popularity of certain properties and also politics. Twitter and social media does not reflect
real life, yeah.
So we don't really know.
That would be that. Imagine that.
I hate to get political,
Right,
everybody.
absolutely.
I'm sorry for bringing up politics.
But that would be the ultimate blow if they're like, and these streaming services never really release their numbers. But what if they're like, 3 years, $30 million, and nobody signs up? Like
I'd be shocked.
Yeah, right.
I think there's enough going on HBO Max that it will absolutely fire out of the gate.
Is this going to be released, do we think, at the premiere of HBO
No,
Max?
it can't because that's like in a month or so.
Yeah, okay,
so
right.
it would be next year.
But that's what I'm saying. What if, like, I guess if everybody signed up in anticipation of Justice League,
Mm.
and then when Justice League comes out, it's already been saturated, and the maximum number of people who've already signed up have already signed
No,
up.
I think these things continue to grow. Like Netflix
right.
has been nothing but
But all right,
increasing.
that's
Same
my
with
hit.
Disney.
Okay, but my
Same
hit-
with Quibi.
Yeah.
What were they thinking?
I don't know. Portrait mode. Here's my hit prediction is this ends on enough of this ends open-ended enough.
Yep.
Or you know what I'm gonna say? It's going to end on a cliffhanger.
Yep.
And then it's going to be like,
I think
you
there
want
will.
more.
I think you're probably right. I think there's going to be enough loose threads, even if they do cap it and they
Yeah.
defeat Darkseid. There's going to be enough to be like, what happened to the Green Lanterns or what happened to Martian Manhunter there? Yeah, and then if they did want to continue this universe to make everybody happy, they could make the Flashpoint universe, swap
Yeah.
out the Batman or whoever you need to, and continue it that way. And then go, well, it's still the universe that you love, except Ben Affleck doesn't want to do it anymore.
Exactly.
You know?
Yeah. Look, but I'm saying full cliffhanger. That's what it's going to be.
Okay.
Yeah.
I would be very interested to see whether that is true.
too.
Yeah. And I'll say the opposite because then one of us is right.
One of us is right and one of us is wrong. Yeah, and one of us will.
And we'll get the kudos regardless.
That's right. Some idiot on the Weekly Planet podcast suggested that it would or would not be a cliffhanger.
They
were
both
right.
sound the same. It
Yeah.
doesn't really matter
Yeah,
which one. Yeah. Anyways,
I get a lot of tweets that are like, what's the name of that thing you recommended? I'm like, I recommended no such thing. That was James. We sound different as far as I can tell. But I can't hear the sound of my own voice, so I don't know. Maybe we do sound the same.
that's it. Anyways, of course, we are going to be covering the Zack Snyder / Joss Whedon trilogy for Caravan of Garbage starting June 2nd. If you do want to check it out and come along and yell at us, we'd love to have you,
Nice,
quite
yeah.
frankly. Yeah.
We recorded the Man of Steel one just earlier. Had a good time. So
Absolutely. So, yeah, look forward to that. Anyways, you know what it's time for? There's no big secret. We lied up top. That's
the big secret is we love you, all the listeners.
Yeah, I guess that's a
Being
secret in a
great
way.
listeners. You
Yeah,
know?
that's right, yeah.
Really drinking this in and leaving a nice comment or a mean comment. I'll take any comment.
We love comments, but
Because all I do is I look at the number of comments. I don't actually read the comments.
Yeah.
I just love seeing that big number.
just you like seeing it go up or down.
Or down, yeah.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Anyways, like I said, this is from a larger podcast we do every Monday. If you do want to check it out, so swing by on that if you want to. Like Ben Affleck's Batman would.
Goodness, yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
If you didn't hate the franchise now.
that's exactly it. Yeah, but he was positive. He put a video out that was like, "I love this movie and it's happening." Remember?
No, he was talking about the cigarette he was smoking. He calls cigarettes movies. I love this movie.
I love this pack of movies that there's 2 packs of movies I movie
right.
every day. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. This one's going to win an Oscar.
Feels good.
Yeah.
All right, guys. See you next time.
Grab that, Jimmy, guys. We'll see you next week.
Goodbye.